Today is the day, the first major contest of the 2012 election, and when it's all over, some current candidates may be former candidates. The latest polling from the Iowa caucus shows Mitt Romney in the lead with 24%. On his tail, Ron Paul at 22%, Rick Santorum at 15%, and Newt Gingrich coming in with 12%. Joining us to talk about the big day today is Isaac Dovere, Deputy Politics Editor for Politico. Isaac, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I'll put you on the spot here this morning. If you had to pick the winner of this contest right now, who would it be?
Well, it's anybody's guess, but I think that most people would expect that it would be narrowed down to Ron Paul, Mitt Romney, or Rick Santorum. The three of them in the last few days have been leading all the polls that have come out. That being said, all of the polls have shown that up to 40% of Iowa voters, as recently as this weekend, said that they might change their mind going into the vote on Tuesday.
We had shotgun campaigning all day today, those candidates trying to get in the last campaigning before Iowans head out to the polls. Did it make a difference for anybody yesterday into today?
Well, what I think you see with Rick Santorum's campaign is a retail-heavy, face-to-face campaign bearing fruit. He's had a lot of movement in the last few days of the campaign. Finally, after months of working the hustings out in Iowa, he's been there basically nonstop since July, and he has had the impact that he's been hoping to have. In the last few days, the polls have moved in his favor. I think any more time that he's had on the stump, as he's done the last few days of this campaign, has been good for him. So in the end, who will Iowans go for? Somebody that shares their beliefs, like a Rick Santorum, or somebody that can beat President Obama, like a Mitt Romney? Well, it's anybody's guess. They are trying to decide tonight what kind of candidate they're looking for. Are they voting with their hearts, or are they voting with their minds? Are they voting for the candidate who they think will be best in the general election, or the candidate who fits the ideological purity of different wings of the base? This is a very divided Republican Party at the moment.
And Michelle Bachmann, as we're talking about that divided Republican Party, she released an ad saying, you know what, hey, look, I'm an Iowan. I was born here. I'm one of you. Does that help her, or is it too little too late?
Well, she has fallen from great heights. She won the Iowa straw poll back in August, and that was really the pinnacle of her campaign. Since then, it's been a slow downhill slide. She is at the back of the polls, and I think it would surprise a lot of people if she finishes near the top. But with all the Iowans saying that they still don't know who they're voting for or might change their minds, it really could happen. It's anybody's guess.
So what happens to Michelle Bachmann after this? If she doesn't place very well, can she continue?
It's going to get increasingly hard if she finishes way back in the pack. She's said that she's continuing no matter what and is heading to South Carolina, which has its own primary on January 21st. Seems like she's basically going to skip the New Hampshire primary, which is a week from today, on the 10th. But Bachmann is hoping that the evangelical voters who make up a big part of the electorate in South Carolina will help resurrect her campaign if she doesn't do as well as she's hoping to in Iowa.
So let's run down the list here. Newt Gingrich, same thing, already conceding that he's not going to win in Iowa. He's looking forward to New Hampshire and South Carolina. Does he stand a chance in those contests?
Well, late last night, he changed his comments from earlier in the day where he said he didn't think he'd win and said maybe he will win. But one way or the other, he is not at the place he was even just 2 weeks ago when he was at the top of the polls. Newt Gingrich has really fallen and taken a beating from the negative ads that have been aired against him and all the attacks that his opponents have been going at him with. It's going to be hard for him to show that he's a strong candidate if he doesn't finish at least in the top four. But for a candidate who was in the first place position in every poll just 2 or 3 weeks ago, to be out of the top 3 in Iowa is a really shocking move.
And then Rick Perry, where does he go from here? He sputtered along all the way up until this point. Is he one of those candidates that's out after Iowa?
Well, in this year's race, I don't think we can hold to any of the traditional rules which have people who don't finish well in Iowa falling out of the race. Rick Perry has also said he's staying in the race. He's also said that he's basically going to skip New Hampshire and go to South Carolina. He's headed there right after the caucuses are done, and will be hoping that he can combine an appeal to evangelical voters and a sort of favorite son of the South and make a stand in South Carolina that can resurrect his campaign. He, just like Bachmann, had a place really pinnacle at the polls where everybody was thinking maybe he's going to be the nominee. And that was in August into September. It's been downhill since then, though.
Democrats in Iowa are already going after Mitt Romney. Some would say, hey, it's a little bit too early for this. What's the strategy?
Well, the Democrats are starting to look to the general election. They've been looking there this whole time. They've been under the impression that Mitt Romney will be the toughest candidate for them in the general election. And they know that no matter what happens on Tuesday night in these caucuses, it's going to be a swing state come November. So expecting that Mitt Romney will be the nominee, they are campaigning against him not for how well he might do tonight in the caucuses, but for how well they think he might do in November against the president, and they will be campaigning as hard as they can to try to take Romney out.
All eyes on it. We'll be watching. I'm sure you will be too. Isaac Dovere, Deputy Politics Editor for Politico. Isaac, thank you so much.
Thank you.